Hello, freshmen. Our last video that we're going to work on in relation to geographic features of specific continents is going to be Asia. Asia is huge, 17 million square miles. It's obviously the world's largest continent. It has major regions, 6 major regions, and those regions are listed below: Central, Southwest Asia, the Middle East, South Asia, North Asia, East Asia, and Southeast Asia. We'll take you through those quickly. Southwest Asia, Central Asia, Southern Asia, Southeast Asia, and scoop the map down a little bit more so you can see the archipelago of Indonesia, East Asia, and Northern Asia, which includes Russia. It is a vast, has many different economies, many different groups of people, and vast climate zones as well, simply due to its size. There are many different cultural, again, rich in cultural heritage, as we've said about every continent. However, we're going to spend a lot of time here in Asia, as a lot of the early groups of people, most of our early groups of people and civilizations started their lives in this continent. Some of the groups of people we'll talk about, obviously we're going to talk about the Chinese dynasties, we're going to talk about the different groups of India, we're going to talk about different groups that inhabited Mongolia, and different groups that even connected Europe to Asia. Asia, like we had said, is huge. Some of the spots that are going to be very important for us are going to be the Yellow River in China, the Himalayan mountain range, kind of separates China and India, the Ganges River in India, the Tigris and Euphrates rivers in modern-day Iraq and the Middle East, and Saudi Arabia. Now, going to the river valleys, once we get into our study of civilizations, these river valleys are very important for civilizations, as they were the centerpiece. Those rivers allowed people to flourish with farming due to the fertile soil at the deltas of these rivers, and allowed them to build their civilizations around these rivers and expand as their technology got better. They were able to live further and further away from the delta point, which is going to be where most of their farming was done. Also in Asia, there are vast amounts of natural resources, again, due to its size, but perhaps the one in the Middle East, perhaps the one that is most coveted right now, is petroleum and crude oil. Obviously, in the Middle East, we know that that is one of their greatest exports, and it's really the backbone to the Middle Eastern economy. Asia also includes the archipelago of Japan, which is also rich in cultural heritage, and the peninsula of Korea, and this little triangular, we call it a triangle here, between China, Korea, and Japan, acts as a little triangular trade network and an area of cultural diffusion. We're going to talk about how, this is an aside to all of the continents really, these continents' geographic features affect how they live due to whether or not they encourage trade, travel, and communication, or isolate trade, travel, and communication. When we see a lot of these rivers can connect cultures together, we can see mountain ranges are going to isolate them from one another. For example, here in the Himalayas, we can see that most of China is isolated from India. And even though they're fairly close, considering the size of the continent, they aren't right on top of one another, but they're fairly close. They have completely different heritages. Yes, there is influence. However, the roots to their heritage, the early points in their history, are a lot different from one another, mostly because of their geographic isolation of one another. Another mountain range here, again, we see cultural differences in India compared to other parts of this continent. So that's a quick overview of Asia. We are going to go through these continents like I had said before in class, and you're actually going to draw your own key and draw your own physical features. And don't forget to label these place name IDs or put them in your memory, as we'll have a quiz on those as well. That's going to do it. See you in class.